To Greece now, a country which perhaps could rely on one thing in these straitened times, and that would be the tourism industry. Well, even here, business appears to be in sharp decline as public strikes have stopped ferries taking passengers to the Greek islands. Now, many fear that prolonged instability could just worsen the tourism industry's fortunes. We can go over now to our Greece correspondent, Mark Lowen, who's on the holiday island of Zakynthos, also known as Zante. Mark, looks lovely, but not a great story.
David, yes, good morning from the seemingly idyllic Ionian island of Zakynthos, or Zante as it's often known, in the west of Greece. It's beautiful weather. It's a pretty hard life, really. I hope it's as nice and beautiful in sunny London, though I doubt it, clearly. But all is not calm here because the tourism industry is falling sharply. And many Greeks are very worried about the future of tourism in this country, as there are pretty rough waters ahead for this country's most important industry. In the clear waters around Zakynthos Island lies a hidden treasure. Loggerhead turtles gliding through the largest nesting area in the Mediterranean. They still draw the crowds, but far fewer now. The turtles are an endangered species, but it's tourism here that's under threat. Numbers have plummeted, Brits down by 20%, Germans and Irish by almost a half. Zakynthos no longer the first choice for cash-strapped visitors wary of an unstable Greece.
Everybody's scared. Nobody knows what they're going to do this winter. A lot of people have already decided that after, it's only June, and they've realised they're not going to make the money by October to pay their debts, and they're already planning to leave and emigrate or go back to Australia, go back to America, go back to England, and it's scary. I'm scared for my children as well.
It may feel far from the protests of Athens, but the images of Greece's problems are rippling through the islands. Social unrest, no government in place, worries over whether Greece will stay in the euro. You forget it all here, but tourists are scared off.
We've heard questions coming through the internet and our email asking us whether there's going to be enough food for them, or if something happens in Greece, whether they're going to be able to leave the country, or if the airport or the port is going to have any problems. So this is all a big misunderstanding, misinformation, and needs to be stopped.
The country still has its loyal followers, but they're down.
What's going wrong we don't get, but the place itself is fantastic. It's like a postcard.
Nice spot to be on holiday, could you?
I do think people I work with would come to Greece.
They wouldn't come to Greece?
No, because I could tell by the faces when I said it was coming.
But away from the seafront, businesses are suffering badly, the stream of past tourism drying up. This beautiful hotel feels eerily empty. Just 3 of the 38 rooms are currently occupied. This time last year, 20 were taken. This is the cost of Greece's political and financial crisis, and the effect for those who depend on tourism is becoming dramatic. The bright lights of this hedonist's paradise are starting to fade, forcing old haunts to sleep. Today's Greece must juggle so many problems at once, but to turn around its tourism decline may be the hardest trick of all. 1 in 5 Greeks works in the tourism industry. It makes up about 20% of the country's economic output. So a fall in tourism is pretty bad news here. And remember, Greece is in its worst recession since the Second World War. And so the domestic market has also slumped as well as the foreign market. Now, this country faces fresh elections in 10 days after inconclusive elections back in May. And locals here hope that that might just bring some stability back to Greece. It might lessen fears that this country is heading towards a euro exit. And of course, it might bring a little bit of shine back to Greece's sunny islands.
Mark, let's hope so. Thanks very much indeed for that. Worth pointing out, of course, that Greece, while it's the sort of headline act, isn't it? Certainly not the only country with real difficulties, and the European Commission is actually set to propose new rules in the next few hours on how governments have to deal with failing banks. Now, analysts say the proposals would give regulators more powers to force bondholders to accept losses.